They called her snowbait. Not to her face, of course, but the way they laughed when she slipped climbing into the gunship, or how they gestured toward her when the mission commander asked for a pack mule. That said enough. Kira didn't answer back. She kept her eyes forward and her mouth shut. Let them talk. She was the only human in the squad. The Vera clan was a coalition of mercs from half a dozen species, most of them tall, scaled, tusked, or clawed. All of them had killed more people than she'd met, and they made sure she knew it. The squad leader, a bolder-skinned brute named Rellock, made it very clear she wasn't expected to do much. Observe, carry, don't die. If you can manage 2 out of 3, you'll do fine. More laughter. Kira nodded and checked her pack again. Her rifle was cleaned, her gear trimmed and sealed against the cold, her ammo counted twice. She didn't smile. She didn't try to fit in. The drop was routine, low orbit, burned through clouds, touched down on frozen dirt. The ship's interior groaned as they hit the atmosphere, frost crawling up the windows. No one talked. The laughter was gone. Even the loudest ones went quiet when the planet came into view. Out the viewport, snow stretched to the horizon. Gray skies, jagged ice ridges, a kind of silence you could feel in your bones. Planet designation, RX-19. No formal name, just a code. The galaxy didn't bother naming death traps. As the rear hatch opened, the cold punched into the cabin like a living thing. Everyone tensed. Kira didn't. She adjusted her scarf, stepped into the wind, and inhaled deeply. The air bit at her lungs like an old friend. They marched for 6 hours. The outpost they were assigned to raid was another 5 clicks over the ridge. The squad spread out, stomping through snowdrifts, gear clanking, breath misting behind them. One of the twins, slim avian snipers named Tret and Vec, chirped out something about soft feet dragging behind. Kira ignored it. A larger brute, Koresh, lagged beside her. He was twice her size and smelled like wet copper. "You freeze slower than I expected," he said, amused. "Your kind needs heat, doesn't it?" "We need what we need," Kira answered. He laughed. "That's vague. You think that's clever?" "I think it's true." He snorted and moved on, but he kept glancing back at her, like she'd answered wrong. They made camp near a jagged cliff face. Rellock barked orders. No fires, no noise, minimal light. Bandit clan or not, they knew how to operate in hostile environments. Still, several of them chuckled when Kira pulled her own gear and set up alone, just outside the main cluster. "Trying to be mysterious?" Vec called. "No," she said. "Trying to sleep without your snoring." Even that got a half laugh. Kira lay back against her pack and let the wind wash over her. Above, the sky shimmered with strange light, aurora bands flickering between cloud breaks. She didn't stare long. Movement above could mean something was watching. This world had predators. Real ones. Not like the mercs who thought themselves the top of the food chain, just because they carried big guns. She wasn't here to win a pissing contest. She was here because she knew something they didn't. She had grown up on worlds like this. Not military academies or cushy colonies. Frontier posts where survival wasn't a theory, it was practice. Her hand drifted to the knife on her thigh. Not a standard issue blade. Handmade, bone handle, edge etched with tiny grooves. A gift long ago, from something they would soon meet. They'd laugh again, she knew, but that was fine. She didn't need their approval. Just time. Snow crunch nearby. Someone walking by. Koresh again, probably. "You don't sleep much," he said. "Neither do you," she replied. He paused. "You think we're going to walk in and take the outpost without a fight?" "I think you're not asking the right question." He tilted his head, confused. "Which is? Do you know what else is out here?" He chuckled darkly. "Yeah, us." Kira didn't answer. She just looked past him, into the dark. He followed her gaze, frowned, and then muttered something before heading back to the others. She sat alone a while longer, unmoving as the wind picked up. It howled like a memory. A few meters behind her, the snow shifted. She didn't turn. She didn't need to. The presence was familiar. The march resumed before dawn, though the light barely changed. RX-19 didn't do proper sunrises, just varying shades of gray. The squad was quiet now, even the brash ones. Something about the wind had changed. It wasn't just cold. It carried something, like it remembered screams. They were close to the outpost. It was supposed to be a tech hub, lightly defended, manned by a skeleton crew. Easy pickings. That's why they sent the Vera clan. Smash and grab, clean and gone. But the closer they got, the less certain anyone seemed. Tret was the first to break the silence. "Something's off," he said, voice low. "Tracks are wrong." "What tracks?" Vec asked. "Exactly. There should be some. Nothing's come or gone in days. Snow's too clean." Relloc waved them forward. "It means the target's dead or stupid. Either way, we finished the job." They advanced another kilometer, scanning ridges, watching the tree line. The forest here wasn't dense, but the trees were wrong. Too tall, too thin, bark like bone. Koresh tapped one and recoiled. It bled sap that hissed in the snow. A high-pitched yelp snapped heads around. One of the newer mercs, a four-eyed crawler named Liss, had gone off-path. He was gone now. Just gone. His comm clicked open with static and half-gasp before going silent. Relloc barked for everyone to tighten formation. Kira didn't react. Her eyes swept the tree line, then the snow. She crouched briefly, ran her fingers along a shallow indent in the drift, and stood. Koresh noticed. "What is it?" She didn't answer. He grabbed her arm. "Talk." She looked at him calmly. "That wasn't a mistake. Something watched us last night. It's moving ahead of us now." He stared, processing, then muttered, "You're guessing." "I'm remembering." Another merc dropped. This time, they saw the shadow. Fast, low to the ground, too big for any local predator they were briefed on. A flash of muscle and teeth. Then blood. Screams. Weapons up. They opened fire in every direction, wasting charge packs in the shadows. Snow exploded, trees splintered, but nothing came out. Vex screamed over the comms. "What the hell is that thing?" No answer. Tret didn't respond. His comm lit up once more, then flatlined. Relloc growled into the squad line. "We keep moving. We finish the mission, then evac." Tight formation, no gaps. The air was heavier now. Kira moved in the center of the group, her gaze fixed ahead. Relloc glared back at her. "You know something? I grew up here." Silence. "No humans grew up here," Vex snapped. "There's no record. Not in the files. Frontier colony. Lost contact. You only read what made it back." Relloc barked. "You saying this is your home?" Kira didn't look at him. "It was." Koresh snarled. "That's why you volunteered for this mission? For revenge?" "No," she said. "To make sure you didn't get everyone killed." The outpost came into view an hour later. Its gates were torn open, walls blackened by scorch marks and claw slashes. No signs of life. The mercs moved in, weapons ready, stepping over broken metal and half-frozen remains. Inside, the power was dead. Lights flickered, doors hung loose. Kira moved with purpose. She wasn't searching. She was checking, confirming. Koresh followed. "You knew they were dead?" She nodded once. They didn't stand a chance. Relloc examined a wall gouge 2 meters high. "What did this?" Kira didn't answer. The squad regrouped near the central tower. 5 down, 7 left. Relloc was furious, demanding scans, answers, anything. But the systems were fried. Something had chewed through the power conduits. Not just destroyed them, but deliberately severed connections. Tret's body was found near the generator room. No blaster damage. Just massive puncture wounds. Not ripped apart, precise. Like something hunted with intent. "Tell us," Koresh said. "What's out here?" Kira finally turned to face them all. "You ever heard of the Tivrak?" Blank stares. A few nervous glances. "It's not a myth," she said. "Not a legend. It's real. One survived. Maybe more." Relloc cursed. "You brought us here knowing that." "I didn't bring you. You came chasing credits. I came to keep the body count down." The snow outside the walls shifted. A distant, low growl echoed, not from one throat, but many. The mercs froze. They didn't move at first. No one spoke. The sound from outside faded into the wind, but its weight lingered. It wasn't fear of the unknown. It was the cold realization that they were no longer the predators in this place. One of the mercs, a horned brute named Kelder, raised his rifle and scanned the snow beyond the wall. Nothing. Just endless white and the occasional drift of ash. Koresh broke the silence. We evac now. No payload's worth this. Rellock didn't argue. That alone confirmed the shift. Pride wasn't going to save them anymore. They moved fast. No formation this time. Just a panicked retreat. Kira walked behind them. Not rushing. Not afraid. Just alert. Watching. 3 minutes into the march, Kelder vanished. No scream. No blood. Just footsteps ending mid-snow. Vec fired wildly, hitting nothing. We're being toyed with, he shouted. Rellock shouted orders. None of them followed. Chaos seeped in. Comms overloaded with static and half-formed yells. Another scream. Short, wet, final. Then another. Koresh stayed close to Kira. You said one Tivrak. I said one survived, she corrected. That was years ago. His jaw clenched. And it remembers you? She didn't answer. They crested a ridge. Half the squad gone now. No sign of the enemy. Just movement in the mist, shapes too fast to track. They huddled around a flat basin. No cover, just space. Wrong place to be. Too exposed. Vex snapped. What are we even fighting? Kira stopped. Her hand went to her coat. Slowly, she pulled out a long, curved whistle, bone, polished, etched in ancient script. She brought it to her lips and blew. No sound came out, but everything stopped. The wind stilled. The snow froze midair. Then came a shape from the white. Massive, low to the ground, dark fur streaked with frost. Yellow eyes glowing like fire. A Tivrak. Vex screamed. The rest raised weapons. Kira stepped forward. Stand down. No one listened. They fired. Blaster bolts tore the air. The Tivrak vanished from sight, reappearing behind one of the gunners, tearing him in half in a blur. Screams, more fire, chaos. But it never touched Kira. Never even looked at her like prey. It moved around her, always just outside the reach of fire. Always knowing where to strike. And then, from the hills, more eyes appeared. 3, then 5, then 10. The mercs fell apart. Koresh held position. Rellock tried to hold the line. They both failed. The creatures hunted with coordinated precision, not rage. This wasn't a blood frenzy. It was a culling. Kira didn't flinch. She stood in the center of it all, coat fluttering, eyes hard. Rellock stumbled toward her, weapon smoking. What are they to you? She looked at him. Old friends. They're monsters. They're survivors. Like me. You trained them. No, she said. I listened. I learned. That was enough. Rellock fell. Clawed. Silent. Only Koresh remained, breathing hard, arm bleeding, eyes wide. You walked among them? He asked. I lived among them. I adapted. That's what humans do. He looked around. Bodies half buried in snow. The wind had returned. Then why are you here? Kira's voice was quiet. Because they don't like intruders. And I owe them one. A Tivrak approached her, larger than the rest. Scar across one eye. It stopped beside her, lowered its head. Koresh backed away. Kira looked at him. You can run. Or you can listen. Your call. He ran. The Tivrak didn't chase. It watched. Waiting. Kira placed a hand on its back. Its muscles rippled beneath thick fur, but it didn't move. This was no alliance. This was coexistence. Earned, not commanded. Koresh disappeared into the storm. The creatures faded with the wind. Kira stood alone again, and the snow reclaimed the silence. Koresh didn't stop running until his lungs burned and his legs threatened to give. The snow dragged at his boots. The wind bit into his face, but he didn't look back. He didn't need to. Whatever had happened on that ridge wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration, a reminder, the kind of lesson you only survived once. He reached the drop zone hours later, body shaking, throat raw. The gunship's emergency beacon still pulsed, but no rescue had arrived. He activated the distress again, then collapsed against the bulkhead, rifle across his chest, eyes wide. Not from fear anymore, but from the weight of truth. There had been no misunderstanding, no glitch in the mission. They weren't ambushed by chance. They were warned, ignored the signs, thought themselves untouchable. And Kira? She hadn't just known. She had belonged. He replayed her words in his head. I adapted. That's what humans do. At first, it had sounded like pride. Now it felt like prophecy. It took another 2 days before extraction arrived. An unmanned drone drop, sterile, and cautious. The command didn't want to risk more lives, which Koresh understood. He didn't argue when they asked for a report. He just gave them names, coordinates, confirmation of total loss. He left Kira's name off the list. What would he even write? That she'd tamed death? That she'd stood shoulder to shoulder with legends? No one would believe it. Not in the way that mattered. They debriefed him for hours, asked about enemy combatants, environmental hazards, failure points. He kept his answers short. They offered a bonus to return with a follow-up team. He declined. They threatened disciplinary review. He didn't care. His time in the field was done. The last thing he submitted was a formal amendment to mission logs under planetary classification. He added one note. RX-19. Do not underestimate human adaptation. Apex designation updated. No one responded. No one needed to. Months passed. Rumors began to spread among mercenary circles. Whispers of a dead mission, of a squad lost to something they couldn't see. Some said it was an indigenous apex predator. Others said it was sabotage. A few mentioned a girl. Small, quiet, unremarkable, until she wasn't. The stories diverged, but the name stuck. Ghostwalker. No one could verify the name. No one could prove she existed. There were no pictures, no footage, no surviving team. Just Koresh's hollowed eyes and silence. Recruiters started turning away jobs on cold worlds. Even the bold ones. Especially the ones with unmarked forests and dead calms. RX-19 was blacklisted. Years later, a new exploratory unit was given clearance to revisit the region. Not a combat op, just a survey. Quiet, scientific. They found nothing but wind and silence. Structures overgrown with frost. Shattered walls reclaimed by snow. But in the center of the old outpost, they found a single item untouched by time. A curved bone whistle, balanced perfectly on a steel plate. No tracks around it. No signs of life. They logged it, tagged it for analysis. But no one picked it up, not even the bots. When they packed to leave, one of the crew noticed movement on the ridge. Just a shadow. Upright. Watching. Too far to confirm. Too deliberate to dismiss. They returned to orbit early. No one questioned it. And on RX-19, the snow kept falling. The wind kept whispering. And somewhere beyond the ridge, a girl with fire in her eyes and ice in her blood walked with giants. Not human enough for the off-worlders. Not beast enough for the predators. Something else. Something worse. And the galaxy, in its arrogance, began to learn that humanity's strength was never in its teeth or claws or guns. It was in its refusal to break, in its memory, in its capacity to stand alone, even where no one else could survive.